Welcome back in, everybody, to a Wednesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mac, John McMullen. We are joined right now by the great Brandon Lee Gouton. You can follow him on Twitter at Brandon Gouton. Read all his work at bleedinggreennation.com. BLG, how you doing on this Wednesday morning, brother? 10 practices complete for this team.
Yeah, and I can't believe the first preseason game will already be tomorrow. It's somehow here already.
Yeah. Preseason football. How about that sense of anticipation, BLG? Are you excited?
I think it gets to like maybe about 11 minutes remaining in the third quarter each year, and it's like, okay, we can kind of wrap this up. Maybe it's like you're excited going into it. You're excited to see some of these players you see in training camp doing some good things, maybe not doing some good things, and see if that translates or not to the preseason game. But at some point in the third quarter, like, okay. Yeah, it's there's two more games of this.
Yeah, it's tough. I snuck in. I don't know if you were still paying attention, but I snuck in the Tanner McKee question late with Nick Sirianni at his press conference. I don't know the way you answered it. Is it possible we don't see Tanner McKee and it's just Dorian Thompson-Robinson and Kyle McCord splitting the halves?
I would say I feel like you don't need to play Tanner McKee like for very long. Like, I don't think he needs to be out there. I mean, maybe give him a couple drives, first quarter, something like that. But I mean, I think he looks really good in practice. I know he doesn't have a ton of NFL regular season experience, and maybe it's good to get him some action here in the preseason. But for the most part, I don't really think I need to see more from Tanner McKee. I think we already kind of know what he is.
DRT and Kyle McCord. I'm excited to see Kyle McCord. Nothing against Dorian, but I'm excited to see Kyle McCord. I'm excited to see Darius Cooper. I think I told you that on the sidelines yesterday. That dude keeps making plays. Charles Jackson as well. Anybody you're going to be focused on?
Yeah, the big two for me are, and I think this is, fun for a tracking standpoint, considering, it's tough, when it's like an offensive lineman, you can't tell live, but, a skill player like Elijah Cooks, number 86, and Darius Cooper, number 41. I think those guys have been the Eagles' most two intriguing receivers outside of the obvious top three of Devontae Smith, A.J. Brown, and Jahan Dotson. Really interested to see if their success in the training camp practices that we've seen can carry over to these preseason games, and then see things too, like, okay, can they play on special teams? How is their blocking? Kind of those things that will also factor in into making the roster here.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. We'll see how it all shakes out. BLG, through 10 practices, anybody sticking out to you right now? Offense, defensive side, maybe an unlikely player that you didn't expect. What's top of mind after 10 practices that you've seen? You got the big. For those who don't know, BLG 6'9", he stands above all the other beat reporters, so he's got a different perspective than everybody else. What have you seen so far, BLG?
I'm kind of interested to see how Eli Ricks fits into the roster here, or if he does, because I think he's had I think he's having a better training camp this year, and I think John might agree with me, than he did last year. And we always talk about how development isn't linear for these players. And I think you kind of see that maybe in the case of Eli Ricks, who I thought, obviously did good things as a rookie, was able to make the team as an undrafted rookie free agent, basically be their slot corner for parts of that year, and then really didn't play much at all in his sophomore season last year in the NFL. And then this year, he kind of looks better to me. Now, there are the negative plays, as Vic Fangio has pointed out, that he needs to eliminate.
That was a theme, by the way. He said that like 5 times.
He did say that.
Players. Yeah.
And that's true. But at the same time, I think I've seen more higher highs from Eli Ricks than I did last summer.
Oh, yeah, I agree. I think he's played well. I think he should be in
coming in, right?
That's the thing. That's the complication. Yeah.
All right, Brett Tothgate, BLG, because everybody's interested. Why do people? I don't understand. I mean, you said you said you made a mistake right away. That's what we got one set of eyes. I try to explain to everybody. So much is going on in practice. You can't see it all. There's no replays. Brett has a history of bad snaps playing center. He's a very versatile player. But, I'm the same way. I was like, I assume it's Brett. I'm going to be honest. I assume it's Brett. Now, that day, I think it was Drew, but Trevor had a bunch of bad snaps that day as well. For some reason, it was a bad snap day at Eagles camp. and we asked the coaches about it. Why is this such a big deal?
Well, I think we squashed the beef after practice on Sunday. Talked to Brett. He got it. I made a mistake. I owned up to it. Bad job by me calling out the wrong person. He knows he's had bad snaps. He's not like he's not going to deny that. But on that day, it obviously wasn't him. And honestly, my original piece of criticism, it wasn't even criticism at him. It was more of like, why did the Eagles? It's more directed at the team. Why do they keep having him in this situation? Obviously, they haven't had him in there more recently. But, going back to spring and then earlier in training camp, they were having him snap the ball. And it's just perplexing because we've seen him struggle with that in the past. 2 years ago, they'd have re-signed Josh Sanders just to get through the rest of training camp.
All the time. I've been talking about it for 2+ years.
It's weird.
Do it.
And like that's not where his background is. It's not like Brett Toth, played.
Yeah.
I'd like to see him there more than I would center.
Yeah.
BLG,
I didn't like what he
tackle.
tweeted back to you. Just to be blunt, I thought it's like, dude, I don't need to be told like who to listen to or who to read because somebody got something wrong. I'm not under the impression that BLG is infallible and gets. You guys are watching things on the fly. You got something wrong. You owned up to it. Meanwhile, Brett Toth's writing diatribes about the toxicity and don't read this expert. I'm like, Brett, just shut the fuck up. Seriously, I don't need to be told who the hell to read, where to get my information. Tom, you can correct it perfectly fine. You owned up to it. I thought perfectly fine by you. And then I'm just like, all right, Brett, you've overstayed your welcome.
And I'll say, guess what? I don't care who you like. You don't have to like me. Plenty of you don't. Every single one of us has made mistakes at training camp. There's no,
there's no replay, like you said.
The problem is if you don't own up to it, BLG owned up to it right away. That's it. That's it. It should be over. And for the most part, it is. As you said, you quashed the beef with Brett. And I'm glad.
He joked too that like, hey, if I have another bad snap, tweet that out, and I'll like quote tweet you and be like, yeah, that was me this time. So he was able to laugh about it too.
It's good. It's good. He was a good sport about it. I'm happy to hear that because his tweet rubbed me the wrong way. Maybe I'm just a BLG truther and I'm on Team BLG. But good stuff there. BLG, we talked a little bit about that trade. Bad sign for Ringo, right? At least I would think Ringo and Adoree Jackson. How do you see it from the perspective of those two guys who presumably came into camp as the top two? You wanted one of them to win it. You really wanted Ringo to win it. I think that's who the Eagles wanted. And now you make a trade. You get rid of Thomas Booker, a decent depth piece at the tackle spot, defensive tackle, and you bring in Jakorian. What do you think that means for Ringo and Adoree Jackson?
Yeah, I mean, it was the same day that Vic Fangio said that the cornerback competition is close. And I think that's kind of disappointing from a standpoint of, I think, the expectation or the hope, the realistic hope was that from the team perspective that Kelee Ringo, would really take a step forward and kind of just totally seize this job the way in the past where, maybe like Jordan Mailata sees that left tackle job back when he was, rising up and competing with Andre Dillard, even though it wasn't much of a competition, or even like Reed Blankenship or whoever in the past, where they kind of just like really just rose up and made that leap. And it's like they didn't look back. And we haven't seen that from Kelee. And he had a great chance to kind of give himself more wind behind his sails in training camp on Tuesday, where there's an interception there to be made. And great job by him to know what's going on, to be in position to make the play. Yeah. But you got to catch the ball and and it wasn't like a challenging interception either. You're not asking him to make like a diving effort. I mean, it's right there in his hands, and he has that, and it's a pick six, and that would go, I feel like, a long way for being able to kind of boost his stock here. So I don't think Keelee's been bad necessarily. I think that's kind of inaccurate to say he can't play. He's terrible. I don't believe in that. I just don't think he's quite made that leap that, again, people would have hoped he expected. So I still think there's a good chance he's the week one starter. But I think you add Jakorian Bennett to give you more optionality and more, a fallback option if you have to play him.
Do you think, BLG, that Jakorian Bennett could be involved? Vic says he wants to get his best five on the field. Do you think, his history in Las Vegas is 700 plus of his 800 something snaps are outside. Mm-hmm. But, he's 5'11". Could he play inside? Could a Jory Jackson play inside? Maybe he plays outside. Could we see more of Cooper DeJean at safety than just the base defense? Is there any that pop into your mind at all? Because it did to me with Ja'Cory Bennett.
I don't know if I connect them as much. I don't think we'll see Bennett inside. I don't think he has that kind of role. And then Jackson has like barely kind of done it in his career, if I recall correctly. Looking at his snap counts, it hasn't really happened too much. But I do think
Vic will look at players and say, you know what?
That's true.
He'll look and say, I think he
fair.
can do it. Yeah,
it's totally fair. We saw Quignon get slot reps last year, which didn't amount to anything in terms of the regular season.
Yeah.
So you never know. I can't rule it out, but I do think, to your Cooper DeJean safety point, like I do think that seems that's viable. That's something that I think that could happen. So I don't know what that means for the rest of. I don't know what that means for the slot cornerback position at that point. I think maybe in a perfect world you would have had like Mac McWilliams, really come in and light it up, and then you could have him there, and then you could move DeJean back to safety. But yeah, I do think DeJean at safety has legs.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. BLJ, what do you think about the edge room and how they've developed? That was one of the big concerns coming into camp. Josh Uche getting some play, or at least seems to be having a decent camp. What do you think about the depth at that spot and what you've seen so far?
It's not great. I mean, in terms of like depth, I am excited about the potential of Nolan Smith, potential of Jalen Hunt. I think Uche has had a pretty good summer, like relative to what you would have expected. I think he is their third best edge rusher right now. Behind that, I just don't know. Like, I don't think Azeez Ojulari has had a good summer, really, at all. I was actually making this comparison to the great Jimmy Kempski on the sideline the other day. It's not apples for apples, but it kind of reminds me of Ruben Randall back in the day. When the
Ruben
Eagles.
Randall. All right, good pull.
The Eagles signed, this guy from the Giants who was a pretty young player at the time, had solid production as a 4-year player for them, gets on that second contract, gets a deal that's lower than expected. You think, oh, this is a steal, kind of like the Eagles thought with Ojulari. And it turns out there was a reason why his market was so low. And maybe putting up some production on a bad team doesn't always translate to, being able to be a good player on a good team. So not really feeling so great about him. And then maybe they keep Okoronkwo.
Yeah, how about Ogbo? Is it? I call him the middle size though, because I don't want to butcher his name. He's getting a lot of reps, man.
Yeah,
he's getting and meaningful reps. Is that good or bad?
I think it's bad from a standpoint of like things have gone wrong to that point where he would have a role. But I think the reason why the Eagles signed him before training camp is you want to kind of like raise the floor for that position. That's not like a ceiling raising move. That's a floor raising move.
Yeah.
So yeah, if he's your fourth best edge rusher, I mean, I think it's okay. It's not great. It's not amazing, but it's okay.
So go ahead. If Vic decide, there's, as far as I know, there is no statute where you can't have 2 trades in the summer. So if things continue to go the way they're going at the edge position, which I'm with you, has been underwhelming, is this still a position that you look at and say they might have to go outside the organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's entirely possible. Maybe they like O'Shawn Mathis, who I think he's actually had a solid summer.
Yeah, he's been pretty good. He's been pretty good.
Patrick Johnson, they cut him last year, so I don't know how much they like him. He still gets a decent amount of first team reps too, though. So there's that. He's probably not more than a 4th or 5th edge rusher at best. At the same time,
Powell Ryland, nothing.
Yeah, pretty quiet for him. And yeah, it's just, I think it's just really the top 3 that I like. Okay, I look at that and I'm like, okay, there's something there. And then after that, I just don't know.
Yeah.
How's Jalen Hunt looked? I think a lot of people, me and John have been talking about him all summer. And I don't know, maybe some of us put the cart before the horse a little bit on him. Developmental player drafted last year. How's he looked at camp to you?
I think, again, exciting, intriguing. The potential is there. I just don't think he's like fully a finished product. And that's fine. Because that was always the deal with him. Like you're not getting a guy.
Yeah, but how's that bode for like this year? You know what I mean? Like I agree. Like in the future, I think he's gonna be a great player, but I kind of need you to fucking start right now. How's that bode for this year?
I think he can start. I just think, like we're not talking about Pro Bowl player yet. I think that guy can maybe get there.
We're not talking about Micah Parsons yet.
Not quite yet. I think we'll see flashes of that like brilliance and really, but I think there's also going to be kind of some downs too. I just think it's not going to. I think he's going to make a leap from year 1 to year 2 and be good. But I just think it's not going to be like, he's going to be. He's not a finished product yet.
I keep thinking about the Vic, and you brought it up. He said it about 5 different guys, the younger guys. They need to eliminate the negative ones, negative plays. And I don't know if you caught it at that practice, but there was a little swing pass to A.J. Dillon that should have went for about 5 yards, and it went for about 20 or so because Johnny Wilson was able to really knock Jalix Hunt off the play.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one where I'm like, oh, that's what Vic's talking about. Because you, as a defensive end, and Johnny's a very good blocker, but you can't let that happen as a defensive end. That's the kind of stuff I'm concerned with. And that's because Vic just pounded it into our brains with the negative plays that people maybe aren't really paying attention to because we're drawing the splash plays. So we're looking at Dillon. Oh, that's a nice little swing pass. And it happened to be right in front of me. And I'm like, wow, he just got completely walled off by a wide receiver, a big wide receiver, but a wide receiver. That to me is not a positive.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah. Speaking to that, Vic's obsession with these flat defenders dropping into coverage. Josh Uche and Devontae Smith did not work out well. But sometimes I'm like, and by the way, I've talked about it a lot. Vic is phenomenal, but like when he had Andrew Van Ginkel, all right, I get it. You don't have that player. Maybe you get that player with Jihad Campbell, and I think ultimately that's the goal with Jihad. But why do they keep doing this? And it's just practice.
Yep.
But boy, that looked bad.
Well, you saw Nolan Smith yesterday at a really good rep against Saquon Barkley.
Nolan can do it a little bit.
Yeah. I think Uche, I like his movement skills. I don't like him against Devontae Smith, to be clear. But like if you're talking about maybe a tight end or a running back, I think I like his movement, the way he moves. Certainly, again, a lot better than Ojulari, who just I've not really seen him look comfortable moving backwards like that.
Which is a little bit of a surprise to me, honestly.
Yeah.
I thought because he played some off-ball at Georgia, I thought he'd be more comfortable. Jalix is pretty comfortable doing it.
Yes.
I think Nolan is because he played some off-ball at Georgia. And I'm no surprise. Josh, I don't think has done it much. So to put those guys in that position, I'm not sure I understand.
I'm sure people will be complaining about it as soon as someone allows a reception this year.
Hassan Reddick, that was ugly. That part of it. But defensively overall, Zander asked me this question, so I'll ask it to you. When you came into camp, offense, defense, you think each has been a little bit better, a little bit worse? Where are you from those first 10 days of practice?
I think the offense is just, they've had ups and downs, and the passing game has been, here we are talking about the passing game again, has been inconsistent. Jalen Hurts just had some really high highs in Tuesday's practice. He obviously had an interception that was dropped, another one that he threw off his back foot that was not dropped. But overall, I think based on what we've seen so far, I really do feel like this offense is going to be more similar to last year than it's not. I think they're going to have to pass the ball more than they did just because probably going to be trailing more in games too. There's probably not going to be. The schedule's tougher. And also just the fact that they ran it so much, they're probably going to have to pass it a little bit more.
And their defense might not be a historic defense.
Exactly.
Right.
But I do think, by and large, like it's going to be the Saquon Barkley show. And he looks great, by the way, still. So it should be.
He looks unbelievable. He looks much better this year than last year in camp.
He's certainly more comfortable. I agree with that. And he's also more comfortable, I think, too, in terms of like with this team and the personalities. So, I am not fading Saquon Barkley at all. And then on defense, I think there's just still things to figure out, kind of like we've been talking about in the secondary at the depth at edge rusher. I trust Vic Fangio to get the most out of what he has. But I do think like they're not. I don't know if they're going to be hit the ground running as much as they kind of might need to solve some of this stuff. And in fairness, they did that last year. In terms of the slot, like they didn't have a slot answer early in the season. Then they figured that out. So maybe kind of things shake out after the first month of the season there. But I do think there could be some tinkering and trying to figure out what they're going to go with at some of these positions.
Yeah, what do you think of the defensive tackle room? Are you as confident in that room as the Eagles are? I mean, they ship off Thomas Booker to bring in Shakuri Bennett. I think on the surface it makes sense because Booker probably wasn't ever going to get a whole lot of playing time here, but they certainly weakened or at least lessened on paper the depth in that room and replaced it with more unproven players. What do you think about the depth at the defensive tackle room? And then after that, if you want to elaborate just on what Moro Ojomo will be, because I think he's the catalyst for that room after Milton Williams.
Absolutely. Yeah. I was actually writing in my practice notes on Monday prior to the trade, like 4 hours prior to that trade. I guess the Eagles are just going to keep 6 defensive tackles because, I like Thomas Booker. He's good. He's going to make it. They're obviously going to keep Ty Robinson. And then I think Gabe Hall has had a good summer. I think he looks the part. I really like. You look at his frame. That's like okay, that's an intriguing frame to work with there. I think he's really made a leap from being an undrafted rookie free agent who spent all this time on the practice squad last year to being more of a rosterable player this year. So I think they do have depth there. And yeah, Ojomo has looked amazing. It hasn't just been about beating Tyler Steen too. I've seen a lot of that out there. It's not just the case. He's had wins against Landon Dickerson as well. It kind of just doesn't matter who you're blocking him with. He's just very disruptive. Obviously, I think Jordan Davis, there's a big, he could really help make or break this position in terms of like what their ceiling could be.
Feels like they're relying on him to really take a step forward.
Absolutely. Yeah. They should be, and they have to be considering the financial investment they made in him for next year. But still.
Yeah, but I mean, like for the thought process that might exist of like, all right, he was a great nose and we don't really want him to be anymore. I don't know if I'm seeing that. Like, I think the Eagles want him to expand on what he was good at. He was a great nose. Now, can he be more? I think they want him to be. I understand some people think that they might not want him to be. I'm not sure how you see that, but I think they want him to be more than what he was.
I think he has to be more disruptive. I think he has to be more noticeable. I don't think he can just be, okay, he's helping out like passively or like from a standpoint of like, yeah, he's drawing extra attention or the run defense is great because of him. I don't think all of that necessarily bears out to be true too when you look at when he's on the field and off the field. And also just by the fact how much Vic Fangio is playing him, which again, he was the 4th defensive tackle last year in terms of snaps played behind Joe Carter, behind Milton Williams, and behind Moro Ojomo when you include the playoffs. So I think they just need more snaps out of him, really.
How high are you on Ojomo coming in this year?
Really? I mean, he looks great.
You think he can be what Milton Williams was last year? Me and John have been debating this.
I mean, yeah. I mean, we have to see proof of concept, but I think that ceiling is there for him. Absolutely, yes. I don't think you can just say it's like he is Milton Williams right now. We know that for a fact because he hasn't proven it. He has, in fact, 0 career sacks through 2 years. So I can't just say
by the way, say that again, BLG.
Yeah.
0 career snaps, and we expect him to be a $26 million player.
He's played better than that. I would say 0 sacks would indicate.
I agree.
And he does have one in the playoffs last year. He won the Super Bowl.
He did get one.
But
in the playoffs.
Yeah.
But yeah, he does. He has 0 regular. Like sometimes I think fans are unfair to players. Like,
sure.
I mean, that's a big leap. And hopefully, because I do think he's a heck of a player, I hope people hear that part of it. But yeah, I'm not expecting him to be Milton Williams. Byron Young as well. I throw him in the mix. I think the Eagles like him. Now he hurt his groin, but at defensive tackle, I think they like him a little bit.
Yeah.
And we'll see if he can, but you got to get back, Vic, and you got to you got to practice. So injuries can really impact. I want to talk about Jihad a little bit because there was a little narrative this week about putting too much on his plate, the passive aggressive, every Vic Fangio press conference, BLG, you get a passive aggressive, we don't practice enough comment, which was kind of what he did with Jihad Campbell. And he's putting a lot on his plate. And boy, I got to tell you, they're giving Small Munden a lot of reps in coverage situations.
Yeah,
I think they think he's ahead of him as far as coverage situation. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Smile London's looked really good in terms of coverage was, I think, what we expected him to be good at, right? The kind of more of his calling card with his frame and everything too, and athleticism. So that part doesn't surprise me. Part of that really stood out to me was when there was a practice here recently where he just like blew up the run like 4 times in a row. Like he's just down there, physical, meeting the running back in the hole, being in the position to make a tackle. Like I haven't seen anything he kind of can't do at this point.
Good blitzer. They rolled out the blitz in the red zone.
Blitz, too. Yeah, he looks really good. Yeah, it's amazing. It's incredible to think that the Eagles not have just like one linebacker playing well in terms of Zach Bond. He's hurt right now, but just having him on the team, and then they have more, and then they have depth too. It's crazy.
Yeah, and maybe even guys who are good that might not even get on the field because they got so many of them. It does look bleak though for Nakobe Dean, huh? Right, BLG.
It's tough. Yeah, I just don't know. Things could change by the time he gets back, assuming he starts the season on the pup. There could be injuries. There could be struggles. Maybe it just works itself out. But if everyone is playing well, then, yeah, it's kind of hard to see exactly how he fits in.
But from the Campbell aspect of it, where do you judge that as? Because I think the hope was, get him on the field as quickly as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he will be week 1. I think we're trending to that point. But right now, I mean, I still think the starters are going to be Zach and Trot right now against the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I agree with that. And I think, like Jeremiah Trotter Jr., I've been saying this all along, I think there was excitement like the first day at camp when Campbell's like healthier than everyone expects. And it's like, oh, he has the job. He's definitely going to be the guy. And he was a first-round pick, and he has a lot of upside. So the Eagles probably should play him because I think he will get better with those reps. Same time, like Trotter has not gone down without a fight. Like he's playing well, and he's been specifically, as he told Bleeding Green Nation this offseason, an interview he did with Joe Santaloquido for us. He's been at the mic position. He's been that guy and calling the defense. So there's obviously value from that perspective as well. Now, Zach Bond has done that. He did have to do it when Nakobe Dean went down. But that hasn't been his normal role as much as that's something he's also done. So I absolutely think.
Well, they would prefer he didn't do it.
Right, exactly.
You're taking away from his playmaking ability. So I think that's important. That's part of it too, because if Campbell plays, Zach's got to be the mic. So that I think that factors into it as well. And I think, hey, week 1. Now I think they'll have situational packages for Jihad to get him on the field, but boy, it's really looking to me like Trotter's locking down that job. Now he could play poorly in the preseason. That could change. It's still early. I think he's going to play a little bit. You never know what happens, but
if he doesn't, that's a good sign for him.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah. It's great.
But yeah, it's amazing. If you think back to when Nate Gary was your best linebacker, or poor Paul Warlow,
Nicholas Morrow,
Eric Wilson, Nick Morrow.
Yep.
For years, that's how the Eagles did it.
Yeah.
And now you say, hey, that really was a mistake. They should have place more emphasis on that position.
Yeah, more than none at all. I think that was always the bar. It's like you kind of have to do a little bit. There has to be a threshold we have to get to here. And
more than none at all. I like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because people will talk themselves in. Well, Nick Morrow had a lot of tackles in Chicago or wherever he was. Come a long way. Same thing with the receiver. It's sort of the same thing. For years, you had that. Man, they could not find a receiver. And now you got guys deep on the roster that look like they can play.
Yeah.
It's amazing. Howie's done a great job. By the way, and that the last one for me, at Brandon Gout, make sure you follow BLG on the X platform. Bleeding Green Nation is just mentioned. My buddy Joe Santaloquido, who's been close to Trot for years, and the Trotter family. But again, it's big, but there's a couple little over the past 2 press conferences where he talked about a Jory Jackson, and he said that's a Howie guy, and anything to this. And Nick was talking yesterday about playing time, because I think the presumption is that Vic's making decisions on the defense, and he made it a point to point out that that's up to me and Howie. Anything? I'm looking for some kind of drama with this team. Everything's going too smoothly.
Right. Yeah, that's funny. That's funny you say that, John, because whenever the question comes up, like, what's the story of Eagles training camp? I mean, the story is there is no story. It's drama-free.
Yeah.
And it's a great spot to be in, especially relative to where they came off their last Super Bowl, where there was drama, mostly around the quarterback position. Yeah, I mean, I think we've always seen Vic push the edge here a little bit, both publicly and I'm guessing privately as well. And I think he's won some of those, or he's at least like kind of pushed them a little outside of where they originally wanted to be. We've seen that in terms of, the training camp practice schedule and practice amount of time they actually are on the field says, I think, ramped up relative to before he got here. So I think he's had some wins, some concessions in his favor. And last year we saw, as you pointed out, the starters actually play, the defensive starters, in the preseason games. So he's gotten some things. And when you win the Super Bowl like that, you should probably get some more things. But obviously, Nick and Howie, or mostly Howie, I should say, is only going to go so far on like starters in the preseason.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it all shakes out. Good stuff, BLG. Thanks for doing it today, brother. We appreciate it, man. As always good to talk to you on a Wednesday. 10 days deep on the eve of the first preseason. It's here, BLG. The season is here, brother.
Exciting.
Yep, no doubt. All right, guys, follow BLG on Twitter at Brandon Gouton and read all his work at bleedinggreennation.com. That is one of the best Eagles websites. For all you Eagle honks out there, you got to get on there. BLG, we appreciate it, brother. Thank you, man.
See you guys.
See you tomorrow.
There's BLJ there joining us on Birds 365. Great stuff there. Good, two good guest segments today, Johnny Mack, as we wrap up a Wednesday edition with 5 minutes left to go. 10 days done and dusted at training camp. BLG said it at the top. It's already here, man. It's already here this season. It's come. It goes very quick. I guess it goes even quicker when you win a Super Bowl.
Yeah, I like the Reuben Randall pull coming from the Giants to the Eagles.
There you go.
I'd forgotten that one. That was right before I got here, like 2016-ish, 2015-ish, wherever. But yeah, it had a nice little run with the Giants, or at least it looked like it from a perspective. Yeah, he had 57 receptions, 8 touchdowns, coming off his rookie deal, and then he got here and did nothing.
Good pull.
Nothing.
Good pull. You can always count on John to appreciate a pull like that from BLG. Yeah. Good stuff. John, I got one question here from our chat, and I think it's a good question. Well, I don't think everybody's going to like the question, but I think it's fair to at least wonder at this point. Curtis checks in. What's up, Curtis? Was Jihad an unnecessary pick in retrospect? Maybe we should have improved another position. I mean, you hear about this depth at linebacker all of a sudden, so much so that your player who played really an amazing season last year, it's so bleak. We don't even know how he's going to get on the field. And you have
I think there is
safety and corner. Is Curtis on to something, or do you think this is an overreaction?
No, I think it's an overreaction. I think it's one of those things where, again, many people are way too focused on the immediacy of it,
right,
versus the long. I mean, this guy's got a chance. And remember where the Eagles are picking. Like, the only reason he's there at 31 is because, and they moved up one spot, but they were trying to move up to 22 at the, I saw somebody say 18. I have not heard that. Howie told me specifically 22.
Yeah, that's what I think. Well, I would listen to that, right? What Howie told you.
But you never know from the other side. But either way, they were trying to go way up to get him, because this is a guy who, if he didn't have March labrum surgery, he would have went probably top 15. So he's got tremendous upside that you don't typically see at 31 in the draft.
Right.
And again, it might take a year. It might take 2 years. I think, last year was such a home run. that guys Quinion and Cooper were able to play at such a high level so early. That's not the norm. It usually takes some time. And if this guy turns into what he is from an upside standpoint, I don't think there's going to be any doubts about taking him. And again, I think Vic is looking for a specific player, a specific type of player that he doesn't have right now that he wants. And this could be that player.
Yeah.
That
Do you
versatile.
see any? Good. Do you see any potential at edge for him, or not really?
Well, I think I think ultimately Andrew Van Ginkel is the templates. That's what they want to turn him into. And how he played Miami, and to a certain degree how he plays now, a little bit different, but that's what they're trying to turn him into. As a guy who's part edge rusher, part off-ball linebacker, great great as an edge guy, great in coverage. Yeah, he's got 4 pick sixes over the past couple of years. He's long, he's athletic, he's got a high football IQ. That's the player Vic wants.
Right.
And I think they believe that Jihad has a chance to be that player. And if he turns into that player, everybody's going to be thrilled.
Yeah, no doubt. I think there would be even more credence to this question if they did move up to 22 and take him. But considering where they picked, which you did bring up, John, I can't remember exactly, but I'm pretty sure the Chiefs selected a tackle after them. And then I think at the top of the second round was that other linebacker, that Schlesinger kid. Yeah. And then I think there was a receiver in there. I know Nick Emanwari was in there. Yeah. So, maybe the safety, maybe you could have made a case for Emanwari to bolster that position instead of waiting until 64 to pick up Makuba. But overall, I don't think there was a player that was even close to the potential Jihad brings. So good question, though. I think it's a fair question. Curtis, thanks for dropping it in the chat. We got about a minute left to go. Let me make sure we got all of our super chats. So big thanks to you, Johnny Mac. Your final thoughts here on this Wednesday edition of Birds 365. Back in our normal spot today.
I don't think we cracked Borpe. I'm very disappointed.
We're almost at 9, but not.
Well, we cracked 9 at one point. I did see us go over 9, but
good YouTube numbers though, which is the most important. So that's good.
Yeah, very disappointed. So
that's all right. We'll get there, J-Mac. Don't you worry about it. You guys got to keep sharing, keep liking, keep subscribing, keep commenting. We appreciate that. J-Mac, good show today, brother. Preseason game tomorrow. What's your agenda tomorrow? You wake up at 10. What time you going down there, man? Is it like you get there and right when the game starts? You got to get there early. How do you handle a preseason game, John?
No, well, I got to get there. Well, I got to beat traffic, number one. So, I mean, still, even though it's preseason, there's going to be a lot of people there. So, not a big fan of traffic. So, I tend to get there early and work from there. But also got to pick up credentials, which adds another half hour onto the equation. So, pain in the what. But those are inside baseball issues.
Yep, no doubt. Johnny Mac, great show, brother. We will catch you tomorrow in the morning. So we'll be in the morning for the rest of the week. And then I don't know what I don't have a projection for Monday yet. I don't think Monday is. I don't know Monday yet.
Monday they are off, so we'll be on in the morning. Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday we'll have night shows, unfortunately.
Okay, so next week is
not a big fan of the night show, but only because people are used to listening to us in the morning.
Yeah, absolutely.
But I think it's better from the standpoint of you get to talk about what happened at practice at least. So it's it's more relevant. So I think more people should pay attention to that. And obviously Cleveland will be in Wednesday and Thursday. So those will be exciting days.
Yeah, that's going to be fun. Good stuff there. Johnny Mac, great show today, brother. We'll catch you tomorrow morning. All right, man?
All right, sounds good.
All right, thanks, J-Mac. There's Johnny Mac, John McMullen, the number one Eagles beat reporter in town, our co-host here on Birds 365. Follow him at JF McMullen. Great show from him today. We appreciate the contributions he brings to the channel. Appreciate everybody for all the likes, the comments today. As always, we got a great crowd in here. You know, I love each and every one of you. You guys make the shows fun. So thanks very much for being here and a good show today. I thought BLG was awesome. You know, interesting with that Brett Toth stuff. You know, I don't like to be too hard on players. I hate shit like that. It's like, yo, Brett, all right, if you want to correct them, I'm cool with that because you're protecting your, you know, your job and the perception of you at the league. I understand that. But the stupid narrative that he had to attach to it of these are the experts that you choose to get your information from. It's like, yo, Brett, I don't need a fucking life lesson, all right, about how to consume media. Thanks. Go out in the fucking football field and do your job. Thank you. All right. I don't need to be told what to do and how to do it. I mean, come on, man. Come on. But yeah, I didn't like that.